What's up, everybody? It's Davis Gilmer again, and I thought it was about high time to make this next episode of my journey from the pit. So, a lot has happened in the past week. First of all, I do want to just say a few things to all the people that reached out to me and offered such kind words of love and comfort and support. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Every comment was just amazing, and I really appreciate them. They definitely helped elevate me in a much needed way. Let's just put it that way. But I do want to say a couple of things. It's strange how when you talk about mental health, and I know this applies to both men and women, but I do think that sometimes there's a stigma attached to men talking about their mental health, and it's just funny the way people talk. Okay, after I made that video, several people that I'm directly connected to in my real life outside the internet decided to take it upon themselves to reach out to my mother and tell them, oh, Davis is seems like he's suicidal. I'm really super worried about him, and I know I'm not supposed to say that word on social media, but yeah, people were basically talking, saying they were worried that I'm going to unalive myself. But none of these people who actually did this reached out to me personally. It was just, hey, I think I'll go talk to his mom. And I just gotta say, I did not appreciate that, because I feel like, if you really care about somebody and you want to help them, then you will talk to them at the very least. So that was a bit disconcerting to me. And people talk, and oftentimes they see a man expressing that he's having trouble or he's struggling with some things, and they automatically assume like, oh, this person is hopeless and all that kind of stuff. And and I understand, yes, the rate at which people unalive themselves is at a all-time high, and it's kind of it is a scary thing. But I do want to just make the statement that I am a person who believes 100% wholeheartedly in God. I believe Christ died for my sins, and I don't just believe it, I know it. And I know that's a strong statement. A lot of people would laugh at me for that, but for me, the question of faith lies not in whether God exists or not, but that he actually has a plan for me of some sort. And I think that's the part where I have to really work on my faith. And I do feel that I feel like I have an urge to document this journey from this difficult time in my life, because I know that a lot of people are struggling and are without hope. And the bottom line is, we are called to endure to the very end. And I fully 100% believe in myself and having the capability to do that. I have no desire to, throw in the towel and quit, if you will. So, that being said, I just want to say something quickly about just belief in God, okay? And this actually ties into my plan here. I have a 3-step plan to pull myself out of this and work on my life, and I'm going to talk more in detail about those in some upcoming videos. But I think it's a very important question to ask. Like, what is our love for God like truly like? What's the level here? Can we still have love in times of hardship? A lot of us are taught to believe that everything happens for a reason and that God is in control. And personally, I believe that that is more of an Eastern view of God, and that, you know, God controls every aspect of our life. In other words, that we don't really have free will. That if something bad happens, it's because the devil did it. If something good happens, it's because God did it. And a lot of people lose their faith in God because they go through a really difficult time in their life, or they lose somebody that they love, and they pray and they pray and they pray and they ask God for deliverance or healing or all of these things, and that never comes. And so because of this belief that God is in control of everything, then these people that come to see or think that, you know, God's turned his back on them, or maybe he's not real because God didn't do the thing that they so desperately wanted him to do. And you know, I just think that's very a dangerous line of thinking, because the fact is, you know, sometimes bad things just happen, and it's not because of even God or necessarily directly the devil. It's just because we live in a fallen world, and man chose to know both good and evil. Man chose to know entropy and death. I mean, you know, and that's another topic I'm going to make another video about, but the fact is we chose to experience a world without God, a world where we can reject God. And all of reality, all of physical reality has paid the consequences for that, because in order to know good and evil, we have to know entropy, we have to know decay, we have to know breakdown and death and disaster and catastrophe. And that is an experience. Those are experiences that temper us and temper our hearts and minds, and allow us to be grateful for the promise and the hope and the one day actually, you know, manifesting a new heaven and a new earth. You know, because it's like you can't love without hate. Love has to be a choice, or love doesn't exist. And gratitude is much the same way. There's nothing to be grateful for if loss did not exist. And so I see this entire reality, this fallen world, this tainted world, as sort of like we are children in the womb. Okay, this is but a small blink of the eye in the scope of eternity. Okay, our real life, our real true existence, the one that's meant for us, is an eternal existence, and one of power and glory. And it's just, you know, there's a much deeper purpose to all of this. So I just see this life as we're in the womb, and there are birth pangs, and we feel pain, and we're in darkness, just like it's dark in a womb. And I feel like that metaphor of pregnancy that is used so often in the scriptures is very fitting for what we're experiencing down here on earth. You know, we have a lifeline like the umbilical cord, and that is faith and belief in God. And this is building your foundation on the rock. So no matter how sad I get, no matter who I lose in my life, no matter where my health goes, no matter how much money I have or how many people like me, you know, I always have that foundation on the rock of knowing and believing and having faith in God, and that He exists, and that there is a purpose for me, and that there's just, you know, there's a reason that I'm here, okay? And there's a reason that you're here, and there's a reason that we're all here. And we make these choices in order to basically, we make bad choices, we make good choices, and all of this is part of our conditioning process, okay? We are learning and growing, and that's what life is truly about, and learning gratitude, learning the true meaning of love. And I gotta say, like, this last week since I released that video has been a time of deep introspection and really just thinking about what I need to do with my life, how I can get back into a state where, like, I'm creating and producing and doing things that are fulfilling, and that the things I believe that I'm likely meant to do, okay? And I talked about my grandmother a lot in this last episode, and my addiction and all that sort of stuff. And I gotta say, like, I could be very angry at God right now. And I am still very angry. I mean, not at God, but I am angry at this entire situation. The brainwashing and the deception and the push for depopulation, because it affects every aspect of our lives, our health, our diets, our psychology, just every single aspect of our lives. They want to divide us, and they want us to feel hopeless and sick, and to see the effects on that directly on people that you really love and care about is a difficult thing. And I've finally come to a sort of sense of peace with that just over the last night. Last night was very, very difficult for me. It was kind of like, I feel like I've hit a lot of rock bottoms, but last night was it was a surreal kind of rock bottom. Just in the past couple weeks, my grandmother has taken a serious turn for the worst, it seems, and she's no longer able to stay at the home that she's at because unfortunately she's making the other residents uncomfortable, and they're just unable to care for her in the way that she needs. And she hates being there, but she, we didn't have a choice. There's no way we could have given her the care she needs on our own or anything like that. And I think one of the things I've been struggling the most with is just seeing her anger and her inability to logically understand the situation that she's in and our role in it and all of that sort of stuff. So there's been just a lot of really, really painful things said, and just hatred and being just so angry, and just feeling like the enemy. Like, she's just been very, very angry at all of us, and to hear that from somebody that you love is just so difficult. I mean, even if like, hey, this isn't her, this isn't the real her, the real her is not here anymore. And to separate your feelings from that situation, when you're in those situations and hearing those sorts of things, it's just tough. I mean, sometimes we just can't help the way certain things make us feel. And so, that has really just been so difficult for me. And I'm learning every day, how to find peace and let go of this, and just understand that, hey, one day I'm going to see her again, and she's going to have a brand new body and a brand new mind, and it's just going to be beyond wonder. It's going to be just pure joyfulness, and I can't wait for that time. And I know that it's coming. I know it is, because I've done my homework. And that's the thing about the Bible. A lot of people try to debate the existence of God on all this historical stuff in the Bible, but the truth is, if you learn prophecy and you learn the truth about prophecy, and you learn about the Jesuits and futurism and preterism and where all of these other interpretations came from, and you're able to take the time and learn the interpretations of prophecy that the reformers had, that they were brutally killed for, you can really just attain a whole new level of deep faith and understanding, and you can see proof before your very eyes that yes, the God of Israel is indeed real, and all of this was foretold and seen since the very beginning. Okay, so like that is the most important part of learning the Bible, I believe, because the Bible itself says it's vindicated by prophecy. And if we taught our young people that, and we were able to teach people more about that, then people would be a whole lot less likely to turn against God and turn away from the church, and just to understand the nature of free will, and that if God was micromanaging every single aspect of our lives, or that every prayer unanswered is God turning his back on us, or that he has a plan to make us suffer and all this sort of stuff, I believe people's could find peace in their faith and in themselves, and that peace is what carries me through. Okay, so that being said, okay, this last day was very, very difficult for me. There was something that I don't want to say too much about the details, but basically a friend of mine, I'm planning on starting a new business, and I was led to believe that there was going to be this joint effort, and there was a lot of excitement and a lot of hype, and that I just had my hopes up that that I was going to be able to work with somebody and go into this with a bang. And like I felt like these conversations came at a time where it was just, I was looking for a sign, and I'm really bad about that. A lot of people look for signs that they should do something, or they look for these feelings, or they're trying to follow their heart. Okay, and the heart changes. It's so whimsical. It can change radically from one day to the next. And so all this excitement was built up. I felt like, okay, this is just what I needed to hear. This is just what I needed. Like finally, like I've got like a bit of a hope, like to actually make something work, because I'm going to talk about some of my past experiences with my life in entrepreneurship, the ups and downs, lots of ups, lots and lots of ups, but there's some downs too. And I just got so excited, and there was all this energy, and it came at a time where like just these past couple days I've been taking a beat down with the whole thing with my grandmother and all that kind of stuff. So it's like thank you, God, finally I have something to like start lifting me up out of this. And then all of a sudden an about face change, and just it fell through, pulled right out. And that happened last night. And honestly, like I can take no for an answer. I've been doing this kind of thing for a long time. Rejection, something that I had to really struggle to get over, but I did. And it's not something that bothers me the way that it used to, but this one was different. Like to have all that hope and excitement and like energy come at a time where I felt like I needed it most, and just having a really rough day yesterday, because we gotta move my grandmother into a new home, like a memory care facility, which it's almost like a prison the way you think of these places, because they gotta lock you in, or because when you're in this state of dementia, you you get out and you start wandering, and if you're not under constant watch, I mean, you can really hurt yourself, and end up wandering off into the woods or the roads or all these kind of things. And so that was so hard. And then just that, that disappointment just came, and it hit me like just a ton of bricks, really. And I went through my usual motions of like, okay, this is how it's gotta be. Like, and honestly, like, you broke one of your own rules, Davis. Like, you can't get excited about what people say. You can't have expectations, with people based on what they say, because these expectations, it sets you up for a very painful disappointment. So like, I knew the rules, and I broke it, and it was kind of like, I was looking for reasons to like, okay, I gotta learn from this. This is important because this is testing me to see if my own resolve is strong enough to keep going forward in the face of adversity and things of that nature. And I was justifying it, and trying to alter my perspective in my head to see it as like, this is something that I needed, and I was going to start off on a bad habit if this didn't happen, and all these things, just trying to like reconcile this with myself. And I don't know, it was the weirdest thing. Like last night, I was like getting ready to try to lay down and chill out and go to sleep, and man, it just hit me like all this stuff about my grandmother and like just my state in life like right now. And I'm looking at maybe facing some other hardships too with someone that I really care about, not being as big of a part of my life as they were, at least physically. And that all of it, and just this doubt and like in myself and like in what I need to do, all of this just slammed me in the face. And I felt that like that quickening, in the heart. Like it starts pumping, you start getting like, you start sweating, and it was a panic attack, and panic attacks are really weird because you can be like consciously working your way through feelings and emotions and stuff like that, and like consciously you're like really doing your best to deal with them in an effective way. But it's like your body just hits this point where like the stress just causes a massive freak out or a breakdown, and then like you have this visceral, physical response to it that once it starts coming on, it's just got to run its course. And like, man, I got scared. Like, my heart was beating like crazy fast. I was like sweating. I was white as a ghost. I was like, I thought maybe, oh my God, this is the end. I'm having a heart attack. And I still haven't quite managed to kick the kratom habit, so I'm sure that didn't help. And it's just, man, I was terrified. Like, I was like an inch away from like calling the hospital because, I was like, oh crap, like I'm about to die. Like, this might be it. Like, and it's just weird. Literally the only thing that stopped me was like insurance and stuff like that. And, I kind of recognized like what was going on. So I was like, oh, you just got to ride it out. But it's those moments when you're like really like looking death in the eye and like, okay, this is how I'm gonna go. Like, can you find peace? Like, if something happened and then you did just go out, like, what's gonna, how are you gonna go out? Like, what are the thoughts you're gonna have in your mind? And I just remember looking to God like, hey, like, if you still got a use for me, I would sure like to, fulfill it for you. And, but hey, if this is it, like, I understand. And, I wrote it out. Like, it was like almost an hour of just sheer panic and terror, but consciously I was like, okay, everything's gonna be okay, you can do this. But once that doubt and that fear really just took hold, I was just unable to stop that reaction. And it was finally about 5 a.m. I was able to go to sleep. And I just woke up this morning and I was like, okay, there's always a straw that breaks the camel's back. You're stressed out enough. It doesn't matter what rules you follow. Sometimes you're gonna feel the way you feel, and disappointment's just gonna hit you, and it's gonna suck. And I just realized, this is getting serious. I have to put myself in a position to where I can handle tragedy. I can, when somebody, in the family dies, instead of being, the little boy crying in the corner, I have to be the man, helping to provide comfort to everyone else. I have to be a rock. If I'm gonna base my faith on the rock, then I have to be a rock myself. So 3-step plan, and I think each of these steps kind of correlates to mind, body, and spirit, and just the 3 aspects of our being that I need to address in order to accelerate myself and be come into, I think, my purpose and what I need to be. Because you just hit a point where it's I can't go on like this anymore. Something's got to give. So number 1 is embracing the pain. Embracing the pain, and that it goes even more than that. And I've applied this at different times in my life to great success. It has helped me pull myself out of some really dark situations, just to understand that pain can be something that we are grateful for. Pain can be an asset if we choose to treat it like an asset. Because in facing that pain and going through it and expressing that can help us inspire people. It can help us solve problems and do more. And it's that pain that lets us know that we're still alive, or even that we still have a conscience. Okay, that pain, and it can be physical pain, it can be emotional pain, and it's a crazy thought to be grateful for something that hurts. And it takes a lot of mental work to really wrap your mind around that. And so often in my life I forget it, and then I come back to it, and I have to go through that process again. And it's really building a habit to start treating pain more as indicators, or more as direction, to be pushed in another direction. Pain can help lead you to different things and different successes and victories, and we all really relate to each other most strongly through pain. And that's the thing about the belief in God that I'm talking about. Is your faith and love for God such that, and your trust for God, such that come judgment day, you're found wanting, and you're thrown in the lake of fire, and you're burning, and this is it. This is, all my chances are done. This is the end for me. Could you still love and appreciate God even while you're burning away in that lake of fire? Could you still trust Him enough to know, I did this? It was my free will that put me here. I chose this. And still have it in your heart to know that He really does know what's best, and His judgment is just. Just imagining myself in that situation, could I still have love for God and Christ? And I honestly believe that I can. I feel like I've found that point where no matter what punishments come my way, no matter how bad I'm hurting or burning or suffering, He gave me a chance, and for that I can only be eternally grateful. Like we have the gift of life through all its ups and downs and trials and tribulations and triumphs and victories. We have the gift of life, and that is enough, because every breath that we take is His. We have nothing. When we offer up a sacrifice to God, when we offer something up to God, God already owns it. He owns everything. We can't really give Him anything. There's nothing that we have to give. And that's why grace is so important, because there's not this exchange. Like, we can't work our way into salvation or righteousness or anything like that. Nothing that we can do will even come close to measuring up to what He is and what He represents. And just the deep understanding of that, gives me so much peace and humility, and knowing that, no matter what I do, no matter how I feel, it's all in His hands in the end. And for better or worse, He's gonna make the right decision. And just knowing that, you can let go of so much of the angst and resentment and feelings like that, where you feel like you didn't get what you deserved, or you were owed something, or that you were entitled to better. And so embracing the pain, learning to treat pain as an asset, learning that it's something that I can use to inspire others and do something great. And you can monetize pain. You can turn it into an energetic currency, where you're able to inspire other people to triumph over their difficulties and challenges and obstacles in life. It can be so powerful. And it's exactly what Christ did with pain. He took that pain and He caused a revolution that is still everlasting and growing 2,000 years later, and it changed the world. Okay, that's what Christ was able to do with pain. And I think, just to follow in His footsteps, we can apply some of those same principles to the pain in our own lives. And the second, so that was more of the maybe the spirit, maybe the mind, maybe a little both, mind, body, spirit. But the second is definitely the body. The second part of my plan is to aim for a transformation, a health transformation. Quitting bad habits, whether it be smoking, eating too much, taking illicit substances, or just being lazy. A lot of us, we try to think like, we gotta quit doing this, we gotta lose weight, we gotta, it's just like the bare minimum. And when it comes to goal setting, like, I know that there's power in saying, I don't want to just lose weight, I don't want to just quit bad habits, I want to get in the best shape of my life. I want to kick some butt and really just transform myself in a very visible and inspiring way, so that can help inspire other people, and I can feel my best. And I know that emotions are chemicals, and thoughts are even chemicals. So putting more emphasis on that area of my life, and really setting out to do something truly transformative, not just to quit doing something or just to lose weight, but to actually get healthy, to pursue vitality. I know that that's a much more powerful goal, and that it's something that I can also use to help with other areas in my life, which comes to the third part of my plan, which is connection. build connections. And I'm going to be really talking about this a lot soon. Like, we have a lot of superficial connections in life. We base friendships over, video games or hobbies, or just, being at the same place at the same time, working the same job, going to the same school, just, very, very shifty foundations for a lot of our friendships. And, a lot of people are saying, you're lucky, to be able to count, to need more than one hand to count your friends. Most of us end up with just a few good friends in life. And, the enemy and the cabal, they do everything they can to separate us and isolate us and just make sure that we don't unite and band together under common causes. And when you just look at the way the media, it's like they'll highlight cults and things like that and then conflate them with like other types of communities, which, like cult-like energy, like, oh, these people are brainwashed, they're drinking the Kool-Aid, and stuff like that. And, it's just like anytime you see a large group of people that are hyped up and excited about something, whether it be Q or, one of those crazy pyramid scheme companies, they're going to label you a cult. Just when a bunch of people get together and believe in something, they're going to say you're basically in a cult. Or maybe, even when it comes to like just supporting Donald Trump, it's like, oh, you worship Donald Trump. You're in a cult. You can't place your faith in a man. And it's like, like, honestly, it's no different than really rooting for your favorite football team. Like, that in the end, it's all comes down to God. And, the only thing that's really going to ever save us is Christ returning and, him setting the record straight. But sometimes, it's okay to like root for something, at least good, in something that represents good, something that represents victory and triumph over evil and, justice. Sometimes it's okay to like root for these things and, help, build excitement within each other and build a little hope, and yeah, sometimes we get let down and sometimes it's devastating. Just like I got way too excited about, this whole business, partnership type thing. It just, sometimes it falls through, but we have to preemptively imagine the worst case scenario. Like, when it falls through, how are we going to feel? Like, yeah, we could have a panic attack, but do we have the strength to endure? Do we have the strength to keep going and learn from it and learn from our mistakes? And that's the most important thing. And so, when it comes to like building connections, like, I've built some really powerful connections just by writing about God and the things I believe in and prophecy and even the government and just truthing and stuff like that. A lot of great friends doing that. But I gotta say, the most powerful connections that I've built with people are through uniting to work towards a common cause. And that is something I believe, I believe that network marketing is a fantastic way to do that. It's not just for the money, it's for the connections too. And both of those things are a symbiotic relationship. And, I've done a lot of writing and work on like just why the government and the media is always attacking these businesses. And the truth is, I use this fact a lot. In the past 20 years, it's brought more people out of poverty and created more millionaires than real estate, traditional business, and investing all combined. You take into account over 80% of women making over 6 figures in this country are doing it through that business model in some capacity. And it's just, it's when it comes to like a lot people don't have enough to retire. They don't have, we're living paycheck to paycheck. Inflation is just out of control, and it's it's pretty frightening to see what's going on in the economy right now. And like, when you really look at the percentages and you consider the fact that, yeah, like, oh, nobody in these companies makes money, and it's like, okay, well, did you know that only 1 in 10 people that get into real estate ever even sell a single house? Like, that's just how these types of businesses and things work, where you don't have somebody breathing down your neck to make you do something. Most of us, we're comfortable and content just where we're at, and even though we might be uncomfortable, we're still not uncomfortable enough to like really move and do something different. Or maybe some of us are just brainwashed. But fact is, a lot of people get into these organizations just because they like whatever service or product they're pushing, and they just want to get some discounts, so they never even plan to do anything in the first place. That's over 50% of people. But when you really take a closer look and lift the veil and look beyond the propaganda, go watch, CNBC or CBS or CNN, and look up any kind of pieces that they've done on this network marketing industry, and you will see that it's just like Donald Trump. Anytime they can find, the smallest like little lawsuit or smallest like, little issue with some company, because it's just like any other industry. Some companies are scammy. Yes, it's true. Some companies are scammy, and they highlight those and they compare them to illegal pyramid schemes where it's based on fraud and they're trying to steal people's money and lie to them, like Bernie Madoff and things of that nature. And then they just demonize it. I mean, crypto is the biggest pyramid scheme on earth right now. It's literally like your goal is to buy in and hope that other people buy into the same coin so you can sell out and take their money, because the only reason the value of that coin goes up is because more people invest their money in it. So you get in early, you bring in new fresh blood, and then you get out, and then you just take their money. You literally just take their money. Crypto investing is literally a pyramid game of trying to take people's money. Like, that's all it is, and trying to use graphs and oscillators and stuff like that to, predict, people's emotions and get an idea on, like, trying to, look for the panic so you can sell out and buy back in when, everybody else does the same thing. It's literally a giant pyramid scheme. And stocks are really a lot like that too. It's also manipulated and also geared towards against you, especially with like people with large sums of money who can really, affect the market by multiple percentage points just for one transaction. The people that can do that can cause panics, and they can, there's a lot of hiding of assets, and there's, backroom trading and stuff like that doesn't show up on the public market. I mean, there's just so many. It's all such a crazy scam when you really look into it. It's amazing that people are still like obsessed with, MLMs or pyramid schemes and stuff like that when you have all this other stuff going on. But I've never been involved in something with so much energy. They say, oh, these things are like cults, people are drinking the Kool-Aid, they're crazy. And granted, a lot of people do it wrong. They just get in and they start spamming, and instead of actually using real business building principles, they just try to hound the heck out of their friends and family to jump in and do stuff like that. And push, they end up driving people nuts and giving the whole business a bad name. And some people, try to sell you basically pie in the sky, a lie, and say, oh, this is so easy. If you just get in, you're gonna make a lot of money, and it's pretty much a guaranteed win. And gosh, it's really frustrating to see, because so many people, they just don't understand business, they don't understand marketing, they don't understand sales, they don't understand psychology, and then they just expect to start winning by hounding a couple of close friends, and then when those people turn them down, they feel like they've gotten scammed or screwed or something. And it's sad, but it's also kind of funny. it tells you a lot about how people, place blame and refuse to take responsibility for their lives, and all kinds of stuff like that. So, but what I've found is, when you're in a room full of excited people that all have the same goal, that like, there's not, it gets rid of that competitive spirit, because everybody is like so incentivized to work together towards the same goal, which is self-improvement, personal growth and development, finding freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, because these things are something you can like literally just pick up and go anywhere and do. You can actually open up yourself to travel and still be able to work and do stuff wherever you're at. I mean, there's just so many huge benefits to it. And if you take the time to like maybe take a few courses or read a few books and learn how to do it right, you're literally guaranteed to make money. And like, the government hates that, and they hate the fact that with the 1099s and taxes and stuff like that, like that's a big problem for them. Because as soon as you hop into one of these, you get a 1099, and most people aren't educated to know that you can write off a ton of business expenses against your day job, your W-2 income, and that goes with the whole household. So, average family making 60 grand a year combined income can save over $8,000 a year in their income taxes, get enormous tax returns just by talking to an accountant or reading a book. And most of these companies, businesses cost less than $1,000 or $1,000 to join, and so that's an immediate almost 10x profit, like for not even doing anything, never even selling anything. And like, it's like if people would just learn how they actually work and learn to treat it like a real business, i.e. do your taxes, get good. That's like playing a video game that you suck at. Well, what do? You get good. That this is literally the best chance for the average person to have some real upward mobility. And that's a powerful thing, and the government hates it. The people who want you dependent on the government hates it. The people who hate capitalism hate it more than anything. And it's just, if you go to all the anti network marketing sites and people out there, and it's always the same arguments over and over. And I plan to like take one of those videos and do a react and just point by point, just blister them and show why it's all so, it's just logical fallacy, really, is what it is. But I know I'm almost creeping up on 50 minutes here. So yeah, that's the third part of my plan, is build connections and improve my life by building a network of people that want to do the same thing and want to get excited about it and want to feed off of each other's energy and have a symbiotic relationship as far as that goes, instead of a parasitic one. Because there's a lot of energy vampires out there who will just suck the life out of you, and there's a lot of people who have no idea what they want in their life. One day they think, oh, I'm gonna go build a business and do this, and the next day they're gonna move to Bali and become a monk or something, or like or join a real cult. They have no like real direction in their life, and and it's because they're trying to follow their hearts. And it's just like Jesus said, like, hey, your flesh is corrupt, don't follow your heart, use your head, use your mind, like understand like there's conscious decisions that you can make to get what you want, and you can actually formulate a real plan to get out of these terrible holes that we tend to fall into. And at the end of the day, connection is the opposite of addiction. And that is so true. The more connected with people you are, the more people that you have to depend on, and the more people that depend on you, like it just fills you with such energy. And like the times when I was doing best in my life were the times when I was like really going hard to build a business. And like these things have kept me off the streets. I've never became like a millionaire doing it, but if it wasn't for my last network marketing business, I would have literally been homeless. So you can definitely make enough money, and it can keep paying you even when you're like sick, or when you fall into a terrible hole of depression and it gets so bad where you can barely get out of bed. Like you can still have a paycheck every single week when you're suffering and going through that kind of stuff and having to take care of sick loved ones and things like that, and like just that alone, just that little bit of money that was enough to keep me afloat, that I was still getting from the work I did years ago, I'll never quit this type of business. It's literally saved my life on multiple occasions. And my biggest challenge now is just learning the art of consistency and learning to keep at it and learning to keep these principles in my head when things go south, because I end up building some of the fastest growing teams in the countries with stuff like this, and then I just crash and burn because somebody I love dies or gets sick, and or some relationship goes sour, and I just let things in life really get to me, and that's the biggest problem that I have. And granted, there's been some other issues too that I didn't have control over, genuinely, and I'm going to talk about those in some future videos too. But because I've been doing with my last company for 8 years, and it's been a huge decision for me to even consider looking at trying something else. But when you see a good opportunity, and when you see something that's powerful that works and has a big effect on people's lives, and it's really unique, and like, you got to give it a shot sometimes. And the wonderful thing about most of these types of companies is that you can grow to a certain point, at least until you become like an actual representative, like a face of the company. You can have multiple businesses going at the same time, so multiple streams of income are always great. So sometimes it can be destructive just to get too narrow focused on one thing, and maybe sometimes something fresh and new that you want to broaden your horizons. It's a good thing. And the average 6-figure network marketer goes through about 5 to 6 companies in his lifetime or her lifetime before they finally find that one that just takes them to the moon. So I love you guys. I hope you found some value out of this video. I hope you can see that I am not planning to unalive myself, and that there is hope, and that I'm gonna get through this. I'm determined to get through this. I have a plan. I'm gonna stick to it. You're gonna be hearing a lot more from me, by golly. And I'm really looking forward to some of the stuff I got for you here coming up soon. And I'm beginning to work on my next installment of the Babel series. Finally, this is a really challenging one for me because I really hate going into the New Age movement because it's so dark. But hey, take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them, right? That's what we want to do. Ephesians had it right. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. And until next time, take care and Godspeed, Patriots.